Salisbury Center, we are ready for our next fight. Making his way to the ring and fighting out of the red corner, it's Carlos Quevedo.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to TCB number 44 as we move into our second official match of the night, beginning with Carlos Quevedo. This is a fighter who we've seen a few times here in the TCB ring, and Brent, he's impressed time and time again. 5'9" is a little bit short for the 170-pound division. Usually we see some lankier fighters, but this is a guy who's proven he could go the distance and make a real mark.
Yeah, excited to see him in here. Loving his music, his walkout music, and hometown from Mexico. And always good to see some Mexican athletes, some Mexican fighters come in and put the leather gloves on and duke it out, because it's always a treat, mostly for our fans.
Yeah, definitely the case that we've had some real movers and shakers in Thai Championship Boxing, representing Mexico, representing Latin America in general. And I think that Carlos Quevedo is well on his way to establishing the same kind of legacy here. He's someone that I'm very much keeping my eye out for, particularly because of how differentiated this matchup is in terms of age and also height. We got one of the tallest fighters in this whole division facing off against one of the shortest.
Yeah, and he's got Tafan Nadan in his corner, former UFC fighter. So definitely some expertise in his corner. It always helps when you got a guy like that giving you some advice. He's been there, done that, and can give you all that good advice that you need, especially if you're facing some adversity.
And his opponent, making his way to the ring and fighting out of the blue corner, it's Jacob Arrowsmith.
Well, this is that opponent that I was talking about. Jacob Arrowsmith, the giant at 6'4", 170 pounds, is a 22-year-old out of Lotus Thai Boxing who, as you said earlier, Brent, is a team with a lot of presence here tonight. They want to continue their excellence that we saw to Nate Connolly now on the official stage.
Yeah, come on, Arrowsmith. Cool name, and coming in at 6'4" for the weight class. You were talking about Carlos being a little undersized for the weight class. This guy is oversized for the weight class. I mean, 6'4", 170 pounds. This is his sport right here, right? The art of 8 limbs. He got the reach. He's got the leg reach. His elbows are probably as long as the other guy's arms, and he can throw elbows, he can throw knees. This is a guy to look out for. He can bring that knee. I know they're not allowed to knee the head on this one, but he could bring it right up to that chin.
Yeah, we're still sticking in Class C for the majority of the night up until some of our
Jeez.
So one thing to note is that right now, Arrowsmith is someone who's willing to strut his stuff, show that height, just hopping over the top rope. This is a guy that, once again, while we haven't seen a whole lot of, I think really could be the next generation that brings TCB to the greatness that we know it for.
If my last name was Arrowsmith, I'd probably walk out to some Arrowsmith, though. Come on.
You don't want to lean too hard into it.
Waiting for his opponent to let him square off the ring here, and that's part of the Thai respect, and glad we give them that opportunity to do that here at TCB.
Ladies and gentlemen, this bout is scheduled for 3 2-minute rounds in the TCB 170-pound division. It is brought to you by our friends at Green Village Concrete, the level best in Northern Virginia. And now, starting out, fighting out of the red corner, standing 5'9" and weighing in at 169 pounds, fighting out of Team Lloyd Irvin, it's Carlos Quevedo! And his opponent, fighting out of the blue corner, standing 6'4" and weighing in at 163 pounds, fighting out of Lotus Thai Boxing, it's Jacob Arrowsmith! Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this bout is scheduled for 3 2-minute rounds in the TCB 170-pound division. Your referee is Mike Weber, and this bout is brought to you by Green Village Concrete.
And I love when we get matches like this. I think in a lot of cases, Brent, I'm trying to tie my time here in TCB back to, my love of fighting games, my love of video games, where I actually got started in commentary. And when you get a match like this one between Carlos Quevedo and Jacob Arrowsmith, you get two people who pick very different characters coming to the ring. Of course, you have that very long-limbed Arrowsmith actually being the one to kind of initiate this clinch. I'm kind of surprised how close he's willing to dive early in this one versus Quevedo. But we will have the referee break this up, and I like the fact that Quevedo, in kind, is unafraid to try to slug versus this taller opponent.
Yeah, I was surprised. I mean, to see Arrowsmith come out. I mean, he came out aggressive, which was good, but just want to tie him up. If I was him, I would want to use that range, use that reach, use that length to keep him on the outside and pick him apart. And
Quevedo's playing very heads up when it comes to these clinches as well. Note how close he's forcing his torso versus that of Arrowsmith. What that means is that he can't use that longer torso to fire off really sick shots and knees. Although right now Quevedo is trying to trade back and forth in yet another one of these clinches. And this time around, the blue corner is faring a little bit better.
The energy picking up crazy here inside the Salisbury Center now here. In our fourth fight of the evening, you can hear with every knee that Arrowsmith throws a big "Oi!" from the crowd, and as they should be. He's sneaking some really heavy, powerful knees in there.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried that Quevedo may feel already a little bit drained. That went on for a lot longer than I would have hoped for the red corner, and now we're beginning to see that fight at range begin to favor the blue corner as well. Big spinning kick to start us off. Quevedo just going to get back into the clinch this time, want to get some knees of his own.
Yeah, wow. Quevedo's got to have an answer for this powerful clinch that Arrowsmith has. I mean, with a tall guy like this, if they were knee in the head, I mean, he'd really be in some trouble.
And I think it's kind of unfortunate because Quevedo is somebody who does well in clinches, could do a lot here, but unfortunately he doesn't get the opportunity because he's just up against someone whose physicality blanks a lot of the aggression the red corner could have in a situation like this where you're diving in.
Oh. Quevedo throwing some of that Mexican leather in those hands. There they come, and great round. I thought ultimately Arrowsmith edged it out.
I would agree with that. Just too much control, although at the end there, we were beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel for Quevedo. Some good stuff when you're actually in that stand-up boxing with the two half separation. Quevedo is happy to just leverage himself under the guard of Arrowsmith, and he's doing so to great effect. Usually when you see a shorter fighter in a situation like this, Brent, what you often get is somebody who's unable to really get enough strength up above their shoulder height, up into the head of the opponent. But right now, Quevedo doesn't seem to be struggling at all.
Yeah, Quevedo got a little pissed, I think, there at the end of that round, and he just started saying, all right, I'm letting these hands go on this big guy, and started connecting. I'm sure his coach, Tafan, is giving him some of that advice, like, hey, you got to get inside. You got to start connecting on this big guy. You cannot let him grab you and just keep throwing those long knees into your rib cage.
Yeah, and one connection point that I think would be really valuable for the red corner on top of the boxing that we're seeing is a little bit more of the Muay.
Yeah.
I want to see a bit more actually done with the legs. The art of the 8 limbs, of course, is named that after all. And when you're up against some guy big enough that it's the art of the 16 limbs, you need to cut the big tree down.
Yeah, he probably feels like it's 16 limbs with that reach and that range that he's got. And when he ties you up, man, I mean, geez.
Oh my God.
It's like you can't get free.
Yeah, and immediately Arrowsmith is just happy to continue to one trick. I talked about this before. At this level where both of these fighters are still getting their stripes in, still working out the kinks of their game plan, sometimes all you need to win here in TCB is a single really good approach that out of these 3 rounds, the opponent is just sent scrambling trying to answer. And right now, Quevedo is just getting wet blanketed into the corner.
Yeah, I really wonder if Arrowsmith's corner is telling him to tie up, or if that's just his style and what he likes to do. Because if I was in his corner, I'd be telling him, man, jab, use your teeps, use your range. He's almost a whole head taller than Quevedo.
No, and I think typically if you are someone as tall as Arrowsmith, you want to play at range. But here it just kind of feels like Quevedo is a bulldog diving in viciously. Now we're beginning to see Arrowsmith rise to the challenge. That was a scary headshot that really didn't take a whole lot of energy when you're up against such a short target. And while we do immediately get a clinch after that, that looked like the first defensive clinch that Quevedo's in. He doesn't want to take another head kick.
Yeah, he's throwing that nice head kick.
Ooh.
I want to see Arrowsmith start throwing a nice jab. He's got such a long arm. I don't know why he's not setting that head kick up with a beautiful jab, you know, using some of his boxing. He's really got some great knees from the inside, though.
I do think that part of it is that Quevedo is a little bit too over-eager to take damage on the way in. And therefore, while we are getting jabs, we can't get three pieces. We can't get series of jabs out of the blue corner. Jacob Arrowsmith has to immediately just answer back to get to a favorable position in the clinch. Right there, though, we're seeing on the fade in a really good knock upon the head. Quevedo's got to be careful because here in this round, I think we're seeing a lot more favorability for the blue corner.
Yeah, that was a beautiful right hand from Arrowsmith that really just turned Carlos's head straight around. And again, Arrowsmith with a strong showing in the second round. Quevedo's going to really have to come out here in this third round and try to turn things around.
And I think it's definitely possible. Of course, Arrowsmith, you know, being the taller fighter here, in many cases, kind of getting bogarted. It's a matter of Quevedo having just really good conditioning to play at the level that he's at. And Arrowsmith clearly has been doing the work as well. But I think that in a lot of cases, shorter fighters just are able to give a bit more because it takes less to accelerate a really short limb versus a really long limb. And I think that Arrowsmith is looking worse in the corner right now versus Quevedo, even though Arrowsmith is standing.
Yeah.
The fact that we keep saying Arrowsmith over and over again, and I haven't thrown in one Arrowsmith joke. I've got them ready to go whenever you guys are ready.
I already said I thought his walkout song should have been a little.
Well,
you know.
the great crew up there in the booth are played it during the break. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, open stance to start. This is something that usually favors the taller fighters, but yet again, it's actually Arrowsmith initiating, diving in, trying to get past the guard of Quevedo. I'm not exactly sure what the call is here, but right now he is running the red corner around the ring.
Yeah, he almost gave me a nice jab there to start the round, and then he went right to the tie-up. So that must be just something he enjoys.
Something he enjoys, but can it get him the victory is the question here. Quevedo just once again jamming past the guard. Should be using this open stance for a little bit more favorability, maybe even trying to check that leg, but neither of these guys wants to do much besides slug it out of the closest distance possible.
Yeah, both these guys here, Quevedo coming out.
There we go.
Trying to turn things around. But Arrowsmith isn't having any of it.
Yeah, and this is honestly, this is not the game plan. When he got in the ring, Arrowsmith got in the ring. This is not the game plan that I thought he would come out in. I thought he was going to stay at distance, throw some jabs, throw some long kicks, but he's right in there.
Oh! And that's the risk of getting right in there. Quevedo finding a really good opening to punch that chin. And now Arrowsmith is going into a clinch out of desperation. Knees are coming out, but I'm not seeing Quevedo show too much damage from those. In fact, he's blading those hips, preventing too much from coming through. He just wants another shot in neutral.
Yeah, he landed a really nice body kick and a really nice straight punch.
And a big shot straight to the liver as well.
There's that body kick.
In trouble now. You can see that he's dazed. That blank look in his eyes. Unfortunately, you got more of a round to go. Quevedo wants to try to put this away.
Wow, Arrowsmith showing some real heart in here. He took some hard shots there from Quevedo.
Another breakup, but you look at the body language out of Arrowsmith. He's having to withdraw even while he's bringing shots.
Oh!
Brilliant move by Quevedo! Yet again, past the reach, and that'll be our first knockdown of the night.
Wow, he ran right into it, and that was a legit knockdown right there. I think that's going to finish the fight.
Yeah. Too much of a decider here at the end, and in fact, with the bell, that's the end of it. What a scoring shot here. You see Quevedo, he's tenacious, finding a way back in, under the guard, and there goes down Arrowsmith.
This sold-out crowd here at the Salisbury Center erupted so loud we couldn't even hear the bell. That was insane.
Yeah, everybody's on their feet waiting to see the decision here. Great fight. I thought maybe Arrowhead edged it out 2-1, but Arrowsmith. And we'll see how the judges score this one. What an exciting fight! Wow.
And honestly, such a technical way to show the game plan of Quevedo and what makes it work. A test up against a tall fighter like this is something a lot of people fade away from, but Quevedo realized, hey, he's not putting enough power into these shots. He's a little bit afraid when I get in. And yes, while he throws in clinches and is getting good knees, I feel okay. I'm going to take these until he can't take it anymore.
Yeah, heck of a fight from both guys. I really want to see Arrowsmith back inside the TCB ring, no matter what. This guy, what an exciting fighter. He was guns blazing right from the start. Got a little careless there at the end and took one on the jaw, but ultimately I thought edged it out.
Yeah, I think that Arrowsmith has still a great future ahead of him. I would just like to see him adapt to the abilities that really his body should allow him to have. Unfortunately, I think that this is going to go down as a loss on his record, but surely that is not enough to knock you out of TCB. This is someone who really is able to build those gifts up into something great, and I look forward to seeing him again.
You thought Quevedo edged it out, huh?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, really? Okay, we'll have to see how the judges score this one.
With the knockdown, I just don't really see a way that could be answered back. It was too much of a decider at the end there, and I think what it did is it blanked a lot of what Arrowsmith was trying to do. Yeah, he was controlling. Yeah, he was getting clinches. But when it comes down to actual damage, Quevedo looked fine.
Huh. Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, everybody sees the fight differently. I thought Arrowsmith edged it out, got rounds 1 and 2, and lost round 3. Depending how the judges score it, though, you know, I mean, we'll see if they gave it a 10-8 round in the end, and maybe it's a draw. So let's send it to Chris because I'm really excited to hear this one.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of action, we go to the judges' scorecards. But before we do, let's hear for both these warriors putting on a great show. All right, Judge 1 has scored this bout 29-28 red. I apologize, 29-28 blue. 29-28 blue, I'm sorry. Judge 2 has scored the bout 28-28 as a tie, and Judge 3 has scored the bout 29-28 for your winner by split decision. Out of the blue corner, it's Jacob Arrowsmith.
All right, well, the knockdown wasn't enough. Quevedo with the fighting spirit, but it's going to be Arrowsmith taking it home. Congratulations to him. In fact, keeping those wins alive. We look forward to seeing him back here in TCB.
Yeah, exciting fighter. I'm really looking forward to seeing him back. Let's send it off to our break.